Guys, who is the best Mr. Olympia ever? Right on the heels of the 2023 Olympia, where we saw Derek Lunsford win his first Olympia, the question remains, who's the best Mr. Olympia ever? I know who my choice is, but let's go backwards. Is Derek the best ever? He's the most current Mr. Olympia. So that, if you follow evolution, would tell you that he's the best ever. But is he? Hadi Choopan won last year. It was heavily debated as to who won this year, right? Went back and forth, and Derek won some poses, and Hadi won some poses. Let's go back. We had Big Ramy, biggest Mr. Olympia we ever had. Was he the best ever? And before him, there was Brandon Curry, and there was Sean Roden, and let's go back to Phil Heath, and let's go back to Jay Cutler, and then Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, Lee Haney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Frank Zane in between, Chris Dickerson, Franco Colombo, Larry Scott, Sergio Oliva. Geez, I think I named them all. But which one is the best? I have to tell you, I don't think the current Mr. Olympia is the best Mr. Olympia. As a matter of fact, I think we have to go way back to 1999, vintage Ronnie Coleman. He has been the barometer, as far as I'm concerned, and many others, by the way. This is not just my opinion. I think if you go across the board and you ask all of the bodybuilders who paid attention for the last 25 years who the best Mr. Olympia ever is, they're going to come back with Ronnie Coleman. They might challenge you with Phil Heath. They may say that Sean Roden, rest in peace, was a challenge and a threat to both. But nobody's talking about Hadi Choopan. Nobody's talking about Brandon Curry. Nobody's mentioning Big Ramy. And nobody's talking about Derek in that capacity. And if we know what we know, and that's that typically Olympia winners don't get better, they get worse. Look at the case of Big Ramy. Won the Olympia, looked great, and it was downhill from there. Ronnie Coleman came in and wiped the stage with everybody. He was great the first time, good the second, and then it was a progression of just decline. Dorian Yates started pulling muscles. Jay Cutler's waist got blocky, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. So who's the best ever? Can you argue for Derek? I don't even think it's an argument. Can you say that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the best ever? Certainly the best ambassador the sport has ever seen. Certainly the most popular bodybuilder the world has ever seen. Although Chris Bumstead seems like he's challenging for that. And that's a whole nother conversation for another day, perhaps. Is the men's physique champion really the best bodybuilder in the world? Well, if you follow social media, then Chris Bumstead just might be the best bodybuilder in the world. Certainly one of the most popular, certainly the most popular right now. If you follow Instagram, you know exactly who he is, and if you watch a YouTube, you'll know who Chris Bumstead is. And why did he only make $50,000? Why did the best bodybuilder, potentially best bodybuilder in the world, only make $50,000 to the $400,000 that the current Mr. Olympia made? That's a question. So who's the best bodybuilder in the world? Who's the best bodybuilder ever? Well, if you ask me currently, Chris Bumstead is the best bodybuilder in the world. If you ask me ever, Ronnie Coleman by a country mile. Sorry, Derek. Sorry, Arnold. No disrespect, Phil. Ronnie Coleman, you got my respect. You're the #1 bodybuilder ever. But Chris Bumstead, geez, you're going to make a mark for yourself.